3 years. 3 years this young man had been waking up before the sun, studying charts while the rest of the house slept, saving every dollar from odd jobs, building something that no one knew about. His name was Caleb Walker, and the people who should have been his family were about to steal everything he had built.
Caleb's father had passed 3 years earlier. His mother had died when he was a boy. With nowhere else to go, he stayed in his father's house, now run by his stepmother, Martha Hayes, and her son Tyler. Martha was not a cruel woman in public. She was far too intelligent for that. In public, she spoke well of Caleb. "He's like a son to me," she would say, her voice warm and practiced. But inside those walls, Caleb was not family. He was help. He cleaned, he cooked, he stayed quiet. And in the hours before dawn, while Martha and Tyler slept, he built something they knew nothing about.
Martha never shouted. She was smarter than that. She used words, carefully chosen, quietly delivered, always deniable. One evening, after Caleb had spent the day running errands for the household, Martha looked at him across the kitchen and said, "Caleb, you know I only want what's best for you. Some people just aren't built for big things. I'm only saying this because I care." Tyler smirked from the corner. Caleb said nothing. He had learned years ago that silence was the only armor that worked in this house. But while they slept, he was building. Every night, every morning. 3 years of quiet, invisible work. Caleb had been building since he was 21. He worked weekend jobs, grocery store, delivery driver, anything that paid. He saved every dollar that didn't go to basic needs. He studied trading at the public library because the Wi-Fi at home was for the family. He completed online courses on risk management, technical analysis, and trading psychology. He kept his money in a brown envelope inside an old book on his shelf. Not because he was hiding it, but because it was the only place in that house where something of his stayed safe. The community noticed what the household ignored. One Sunday after church, an older neighbor named Mama Tunde pulled Caleb aside. "I see you, my boy," she said quietly. "Every morning, your light is on before anyone else wakes. Whatever you're building, don't stop. God sees what they don't." Those words landed like water on dry ground. Someone had noticed. Someone believed. These comments always got back to Martha, and every compliment the community gave Caleb landed in her ears like a quiet insult, because the child everyone was praising was not hers. One evening, a family friend mentioned at dinner that he had heard Caleb was doing well. Martha smiled her practiced smile. Yes, Caleb tries. Just that. Not "we are proud," not "he's doing well." Just enough to seem agreeable, and not one word more. Caleb ate quietly and said nothing. But that night, he sat at his desk and stared at the photograph of his father. "I'm almost there, Dad," he whispered. "Just a little longer." After 3 years of saving, studying, and practicing on a demo account,
Caleb finally had enough to pay for a prop firm challenge, a funded trading program that could change everything. He had saved every dollar. He had studied every free resource. He had practiced until his eyes burned. When the approval email came, he read it 4 times before he allowed himself to cry. He made the mistake of telling someone. Caleb told his stepmother because he still believed, even after everything, that good news belonged to family. Martha listened. She nodded. She even smiled. But behind her eyes, something else was moving. Something cold. That night, she sat Tyler down in her bedroom. "3 years, Tyler. 3 years that boy has been saving and building. And for what? To hand it all to us on a plate." Tyler's eyes widened. "Mom, what are you talking about?" Martha leaned forward. "His trading account, his laptop, everything he's built. It should be yours. You're the one with potential, not him." Tyler hesitated for only a moment. Then he nodded. The plan was set. The next morning, while Caleb slept, exhausted from another late night of studying, Martha entered his room. She took his laptop. She took his notebook, the one with 3 years of trade journals, rules, and reflections. She took the brown envelope with his savings. She left nothing. When Caleb woke up, his desk was bare. His notebook was gone. His laptop was gone. The envelope was gone. The photograph of his father was still on the wall. It was the only thing they left. Caleb found them in the kitchen. Martha was drinking her tea as if it were any other morning. Tyler was scrolling through Caleb's laptop, already logged into the prop firm dashboard. "Looking for something?" Martha asked, not even looking up. "That's mine," Caleb said, his voice shaking. "Everything I built, 3 years of work." Martha took a slow sip of tea. "I don't know what you're talking about. This is Tyler's account. He's been working on it for months. Tell him, Tyler." Tyler looked up from the screen and smiled. "Yeah, bro, sorry. Finders keepers." They didn't even bother to make it believable. They knew they didn't have to. Who would believe Caleb over Martha, the respectable widow, the pillar of the community? Caleb had no proof, no receipts. That evening, Martha told him he could stay if he remembered his place. Caleb looked at her. He looked at Tyler, his father's son, wearing an expensive hoodie bought with money that wasn't his. He looked at the photograph of his father on the wall. Then he packed a single bag and walked out. He had no laptop, no savings, no proof. But he had something they could not steal. He had 3 years of knowledge in his head, and he had the photograph of his father pressed against his heart. Caleb started over with nothing but a library card and the clothes on his back. He slept on a friend's couch. He worked night shifts at a warehouse to save money. He used public library computers to study the markets. He started a new notebook.
empty pages waiting to be filled. And he did what he had always done. He woke up early. He did the work. He kept going. The community that had always seen him rallied around him. Mama Tunde cooked him meals. An old friend of his father's gave him a part-time job. A pastor let him use a spare room. 3 months later, he had saved enough for a new laptop. 6 months later, he took another prop firm challenge. This time, he told no one.
One year after they stole everything, Caleb passed his prop firm challenge. Not by luck, not by a miracle, by the same quiet work he had been doing since he was 21. He looked at the photograph of his father and whispered, "I told you, I was almost there." He didn't post about it on social media. He didn't tell anyone. He just kept going. Because the victory wasn't in proving them wrong. The victory was in becoming the man his father always believed he could be.
Two years later, Tyler and Martha were invited to a trading summit as rising entrepreneurs. Tyler had been using Caleb's initial work to bluff his way into circles he didn't belong in. But he had no real skill. He had blown several small accounts. He was barely holding the facade together. On the day of the event, the moderator announced a special guest speaker, a young trader who had quietly become one of the most consistently profitable funded traders in the region. They called his name Caleb Walker. Caleb walked into that room and didn't say a word to them. Not one. He didn't need to. He gave his talk, a masterclass on trading psychology and the power of quiet discipline. The audience gave him a standing ovation. Tyler sat frozen in his seat. Martha sat in the front row, her practiced smile gone, her cold blue eyes finally seeing what she had tried to destroy. At the end of the event, as people crowded around Caleb, Tyler approached him. "Caleb, we should talk." Caleb looked at him, not with anger, not with triumph, just with peace. "I have nothing to say to you, Tyler, but I want you to know something. You took my laptop, you took my notebook, you took my savings, but you could never take what was inside me." Caleb Walker never became a trading celebrity. He didn't sell courses. He didn't post Lamborghini photos. He built something far more valuable. He built a life that no one could steal. He learned that what God has planned for a person cannot truly be taken. It can only be delayed. The work you do in the dark, the hours no one sees, the discipline no one applauds, the promises you keep to yourself when no one is watching, that work cannot be stolen. It lives inside you, and in time, it will speak for itself. So if you're building something in secret, if no one sees your work, if no one believes in you, if you feel invisible, keep going. The quiet hours you put in when everyone else is sleeping are not wasted. They are compounding. And one day, they will speak louder than anything anyone ever said against you. If this story spoke to you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below and tell me, what are you building in secret? I read every single one. Subscribe to Trader Cinema for more stories like this every week, because every story is a mirror, and your story is still being written.